An arrogant karate champion boldly calls out Bruce Lee in front of a packed crowd. But what unfolded in the first round left him stunned and full of regret. Stick around to see how this epic clash changed everything, and if you're new here, hit subscribe for more insane stories like this. Man, if that Bruce guy is all that, tell him to show up and spar. I'm ready whenever. That line echoed across the polished hardwood floor of the Challenger Dojo tucked inside a busy strip mall just off Ventura Boulevard in Los Angeles, 1970. At the center of the room stood Scott Talbot, a lean, sharp-faced 20-year-old black belt with spiked blonde hair and a mouth that often moved faster than his fists. His GI was spotless white, sleeves rolled high, and on his chest was a custom patch that read, "No mercy, no excuses." Scott was the kind of fighter people either wanted to be or beat. He'd earned his black belt in just under 3 years, trained under Sensei Yamamoto, and had racked up a dozen tournament wins in the last 6 months. His kicks were precise, his punches vicious, and his confidence completely unchecked. But lately his spotlight has been getting a little crowded. The name Bruce Lee had been floating around like wildfire. Movie magazines, martial arts monthlies, even daytime talk shows. Clips of him demonstrating one-inch punches and fluid motions were circulating in Chinatown theaters and martial arts circles. Some people said he was the future. Others whispered that he was unbeatable. Scott didn't buy it. "I've seen the footage," he said, glancing at a grainy TV screen mounted in the dojo's corner. On it, Bruce was calmly talking about Jeet Kune Do. How it wasn't a style, but a concept like water flowing without form. That stuff won't work in a real fight. Looks good on camera, sure, but out here he'd crumble. This ain't the movies. One of the younger students, a nervous teen named Mikey, spoke up. Didn't he train with real masters, though? And didn't he beat guys twice his size? Scott smirked. Story's hype. You put a man like that in the ring with someone like me, someone who's trained in real combat, and he'd fold by the first round. That's when he said it loudly with intent. If Bruce Lee's really what they say he is, tell him to come find me. I'll show him what a black belt really looks like. It was arrogance, pure, unfiltered. But it didn't stay within the walls of the dojo. A visiting Muay Thai coach from Long Beach overheard it and passed it along to a Wing Chun instructor in Chinatown. Within 3 days, the challenge had traveled across the city like a lit match in dry grass. And on the 4th day, a stranger walked into the dojo during evening drills. He was small-framed, older, dressed in a brown mandarin collared shirt. He bowed deeply, respectfully, and handed Sensei Yamamoto a sealed envelope. No words, just a message. The dojo was quiet when Sensei Yamamoto opened the letter. His eyes scanned the paper, his brows lifted slightly. Then he looked straight at Scott. "It's from Bruce Lee," he said simply. Scott stood up, heartbeat pulsing through his neck. He wrote back. Yamamoto nodded. He accepts the challenge, but on his terms. A hushed excitement swept the students. Mikey leaned forward. "What terms?" Yamamoto read aloud. "No press, no students, no audience. A private sparring match at Pasadena Martial Club. 3 rounds. Controlled contact. No winner, no loser, only clarity." Scott scoffed. So he wants to hide from the cameras. Afraid to lose his Hollywood image. Yamamoto said nothing, but his silence was pointed. Scott looked over the paper again. There was an address, a date. July 29th, a week from now. Time 10 a.m. sharp. "I'll be there," Scott said, folding the paper. "And I'm not holding back." But in the days that followed, something subtle began to shift. For all of Scott's bravado, the gym's atmosphere turned heavier. Sparring partners became more cautious. His sensei grew distant. There was talk in the community that Bruce wasn't just a flashy guy on screen. He had real technique, dangerous precision, and an unpredictable style that didn't follow the rigid rules of karate. One evening, while Scott practiced reverse punches on the heavy bag, Yamamoto finally spoke. "Bruce Lee is not your enemy," he said. Scott wiped sweat from his brow. "He's just another man." "Maybe," Yamamoto said, "but some men are forged in ways you cannot see." That night, Scott couldn't sleep. He started rewatching every clip of Bruce Lee he could find. Slowed down frames, analyzing stances, breathing patterns, but it was no use. The man didn't fight like anyone Scott had ever seen. No telegraphed movements, no repeated patterns, just flow. It got under Scott's skin. Not fear exactly, just unease. But he buried it beneath more training, more push-ups, more kata, more shadow boxing at 2 a.m. If he was going to fight Bruce Lee, he'd do it with everything he had. The morning of the match arrived fast. Scott showed up to Pasadena Martial Club with just his mouthguard and gloves. The building was quiet, tucked behind a nondescript row of offices. He expected maybe some press, a photographer or two. Instead, it was almost empty. Inside he found only 4 people. The timekeeper, Mr. Chong, Bruce's Wing Chun associate, a silent gym assistant, and Bruce Lee himself. He stood alone in the center of the room, stretching silently, wearing black kung fu pants and a white tank. He looked relaxed, small, almost unimpressive in person. Scott's confidence surged back. "This him?" he whispered to Mr. Chong, nodding. Mr. Chong nodded back. "He came alone." Scott let out a faint chuckle. "Then this will be over quick." Bruce approached, bowed deeply, and said, "Let's keep it respectful. We both walk out upright." Scott nodded but didn't bow. "Respect's earned," he muttered under his breath. The timekeeper clapped once and called, "First round. Begin." Bruce didn't move. Scott stepped forward, fists up, breathing steady. Then he charged and missed. The second Scott lunged, he realized something was off. He'd aimed his signature hook kick straight for Bruce's shoulder. Fast, clean, sharp. But Bruce wasn't there anymore. In a split second, Bruce had shifted his weight, stepped off the center line, and glided just far enough to let the strike pass by. Scott stumbled slightly, regaining balance. He blinked. How was he already behind? Bruce didn't counter. He just stared, breathing slowly, controlled. Scott tried again. A flurry this time. Left jab, low sweep, rising elbow. Nothing. Bruce slipped every move like he'd practiced them 10 minutes earlier. The room stayed dead silent except for the soft shuffles of bare feet on the mat and the occasional exhale from Bruce. It was almost too quiet. No cheering. No corner coach yelling advice. 30 seconds in, Scott finally landed something. A glancing tap on Bruce's rib with a back fist. But Bruce didn't even flinch. He didn't react with anger or ego. He simply pivoted, dropped his weight, and tapped Scott's thigh with a sidekick that knocked him back a full step. It wasn't hard. It wasn't flashy, but it hit deep. Scott froze. It wasn't pain. It was realization. Bruce was reading him like a book. With 20 seconds left in the round, Bruce made his first real move. He advanced. Not fast, not wild, just calmly, confidently. Scott backed away, trying to. Yamamoto spoke, he listened. One evening, while class wrapped up, Mikey, the young teen from earlier, approached Scott. "So, did you really spar Bruce Lee?" he asked nervously. Scott chuckled. "I met him." "Did you beat him?" Scott paused. "No," he said. "But he beat something out of me." Mikey looked confused. "Like knocked you out?" Scott smiled. "No. He knocked the noise out of my head." "That's harder." Sensei Yamamoto, who had overheard, stepped in. Scott learned the difference between fighting and understanding. Most never do. Later that night, alone in the dojo, Scott stood in front of the mirror and performed a kata. Not fast, not sharp, but thoughtful. He paused between each move, focusing not on perfection, but on awareness. His body moved like water, not fire. And just before locking up, he reached into his gym bag and pulled out a folded envelope, the same one Bruce had sent weeks ago. He opened it again, reread the words, "No winner, no loser, only clarity." Scott picked up a brush and dipped it in ink. On a sheet of paper, he wrote, "An empty cup is ready to be filled." Then he pinned it to the wall above the mat. Years later, Scott would go on to open his own school, not Talbot Karate, but the Empty Cup Martial Studio. The logo was a simple water ripple. No black belts on the walls, no trophies in glass cases. He never bragged about the time he sparred Bruce Lee. In fact, he never brought it up unless someone asked directly. And even then he'd only say, "He didn't fight me. He showed me how to stop fighting myself." And in the back of the studio, in a small frame near the office, hung an old black and white photo. A blurry still of a gym mat. 2 men in silence, no applause, no knockouts, just a lesson that changed everything. Do you think confidence can cross the line into arrogance? Let us know in the comments below. And if this story inspired you, smash that like button, subscribe to Star World Insider, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful moment you won't forget.